Guys, look at this. Ibrahim Traoré, he went to go visit this cotton factory in Burkina Faso. His aim is to have Burkina Faso not rely on importing refined cotton, but instead producing it locally. And after touring that cotton factory, he gave a very motivational speech to the people of Burkina Faso. Listen, look.
Who among us has never fallen ill? Who among us has never been injured? We all go to the hospital. We use cotton wool, we use compresses, bandages, and everything. But very often, it is our own cotton that we have subsidized in agriculture here, that our populations, our brave farmers have given their heart and soul to produce, that has been exported, processed just a little, and that they come back to sell to us by the kilo at a very high price while we pay 200 to 300 francs for it in our fields here. But this local processing creates jobs, and it is a source of pride, it is independence. And when we talk about sovereignty, that is producing, processing, and consuming. And soon, we will be the ones exporting this cotton wool, these compresses, these bandages, God willing.
That speech was very motivational. You could see that everyone was cheering him on. Personally, it's great to see the people of Burkina Faso working hard. They have such a great leader in Ibrahim Traoré, and they're setting a great example for Africa. But let me know what you guys think. Comment below.
Hi lovelies, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, you're welcome to Building the Verse. Don't forget to please subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications so that anytime I upload a video, you will be the first person to be notified. To my returning subscribers, to those people that share my videos, leave commentaries, and also educate each and every one of us, you guys are the real MVP. Alright lovelies, let's dive into today's video.
So when Captain Ibrahim Traoré went to Russia's military parade, and when he was just looking at all this equipment, you guys thought that he went there just for fun, that he was there just to enjoy Russia? The enemies of African progress should know, okay? If you want to keep messing around, you will continue to find out. I'm really proud of the fact that he is committed to protecting his people. He is committed to fighting off these lunatic people. He was out there, he said, these people keep trying me, or they keep trying me. Wait, just wait. The next time you come, just wait. So we are happy and we are proud of the Burkina Faso army. Thank you to Captain Ibrahim Traoré for keeping his word, for protecting his people. And when Burkina Faso is free, when Mali is free, when Niger is free, when Congo is free, when Sudan is free, the whole continent of Africa will be free. We are all behind you.
I'm so happy to see Ibrahim Traoré and what is happening in Burkina Faso trending among my Western comrades, because I have been telling my friends to pay attention to Traoré and what the people of Burkina Faso have been able to accomplish for over a year now. And it is not just Ibrahim Traoré and Burkina Faso that are challenging the violent neo-colonialism of the West. The leaders of Mali and Niger have also decided to rise up against Western hegemony. So in January, all three countries, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, all exited the regional bloc known as the Economic Community of West African States, or ECOWAS for short. And they created their own partnership known as the Alliance of Sahel States, or AES. ECOWAS was created in 1975 to promote the economic and political integration of the West African countries. And political and economic integration is just a nice way of saying that they were going to be pulled into the support of neocolonialism and the exploitative system of capitalism imposed by the colonizing countries of the West, that is, the United States, France, etc. For example, Nigeria, which is one of the states composing ECOWAS, is one of the United States' most important security partners in Africa. Anyone who is a security partner of the U.S. gets the side eye. So Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger teamed up and left ECOWAS, because they decided they're tired of being controlled and exploited by Western powers. Traoré was able to seize power in Burkina Faso through a military coup a couple years ago. Then, in January of 2023, Burkina Faso announced that its military agreement with France was over, and they expelled the French forces from the country, giving them a month to get out of Burkina Faso. This was a boss move, literally the expelling of colonizers. But Traoré didn't stop there. He expelled the foreign gold miners so the people of Burkina Faso could keep the resources in their country. And he has been building schools, homes, factories, so that he and his people can live independent of the Western neocolonial powers. Now, the West has made several assassination attempts on Traoré's life, and these assassination attempts will likely continue. But Ibrahim Traoré is a young and strong leader, and he says there's no place for cowardice, that he knows the West is coming for him, and that he's waiting and ready. 3 weeks ago, the Alliance of Sahel States, that is Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, imposed a 0.5% import duty on goods from ECOWAS. Now, ECOWAS is holding a meeting to discuss the withdrawal of these 3 states from their alliance. And this is why we must keep our eyes on what is happening in Africa. A united Africa could easily free itself from the violent grip of the West, and the West knows this. Which is why we're rolling out this guy to talk his stuff and to try to confuse the narrative around what is really happening. Much in the same way we use this individual to represent the state in perpetuating the U.S. backing of the genocide in Gaza. What is actually happening with Burkina Faso and Mali and Niger and those Western African states is a revolutionary struggle for sovereignty and freedom. And as usual, the U.S. is not on the right side of history. I mean, the hypocrisy of this man saying that Ibrahim Traoré is using Burkina Faso's resources to enrich himself, coming from an American. Please. We've danced this dance before, where Western forces have done the most heinous of deeds to ensure the maintenance of Western hegemony and imperialism. But what is different now is that technology, social media, and the surveillance nature of the present moment means that we have an active window into what is happening beyond what the media and government tell us. Ironically, the very tools we are using to view what is really happening in Africa, the Middle East, and the Global South were created through the exploitation of those places and those peoples. So make the choice to keep your eyes on Burkina Faso, the DRC, Gaza, and everywhere else on the planet where the West has our dirty tentacles. These are not things that are just happening to people over there. These are things that are intimately entwined with our lives here in the West. Our liberation is and has always been intimately intertwined with theirs. We are not free until we're all free.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I just woke up. It's 5 o'clock in the morning here. I'm in Burkina Faso, the capital, Ouagadougou. I just said, let me wake up and talk to y'all, do a video this morning, and talk to y'all about my experience of being here almost 4 months. One of the great advantages of being here is all the food is organic. The meat, the chicken, the vegetables, unless the fruits and vegetables are being imported, everything else is straight off a farm with natural, minerally enriched soil. So I've been able to lose another 30 pounds in 3.5 months since I've been here. My goal is to lose another 100 pounds, and I'll be okay. Probably take me another year. I walk everywhere. I'm going to get a motorcycle maybe in a month, but I'm really enjoying walking. I may walk 3 miles a day and in the sun and don't even realize it sometimes. Also, another advantage of living in Burkina Faso is that rent is relatively low, and the government checks to make sure that our landlords are not messing over tenants. Like, I have a 1-bedroom apartment. It has a small bathroom, small kitchen, the front room and the bedroom, and it's $100 a month. That's how much I pay. Now, I live in a community. I live in where the people live, not with if you want a more upscale, modern apartment, you can, like you see, I have a fan up here. I'm thinking about getting an air conditioner because I'm understanding it's going to get extremely hot real soon. We're in the rainy season. But you can get a decent apartment here for $300 a month. A real nice apartment. Modern, probably two to 3 bedroom. It is 60% Islamic, particularly the city. French is the main language. I haven't really spent a lot of time learning French. A few words, here and there, but you're pretty much forced to. I wish that, the implementation of the African languages was really enforced here. And that's a fear that one day that you know they may lose the traditional African languages in the city. Um, Also, just being under a black nation with a black president that's in a revolution and at war all at the same time. So it's real here. Shit can pop off here any day. I was ran out of the United States. I was forced to leave. Not that I didn't want to be in Africa. I lived in Africa several times. I made over 60 trips and brought a lot of people to Africa. But I was basically ran out of the U.S. because of my political activity by the government and secret societies that operate the government. They even placed me on a list among the European elite and government officials that I am one of the quote unquote J. Edgar Hoover's black messiahs. So it wasn't safe for me in the U.S. And even coming to Burkina Faso, it was difficult. I was followed by U.S. intelligence the entire way. And even here, they operate U.S. intelligence, other European countries' intelligence, they operate openly here in Burkina Faso. Nobody really wants to see black people control their natural resources and buy buses for the people and provide basic health care and other things for the people. Nobody really wants to see that. So I struggle here, you know. I'm going to live here as long as they have a progressive government that's for black people. That's what I'm here for. Um, so I'm doing pretty good. I'm all right, you know. Although there are some problems here, it's not a utopia. There are problems, and like I said, I'm being messed with. The West feels, and they do often do buy off everybody. There's corruption here. There's corruption in the U.S. There's corruption in Burkina Faso. The president is trying his best to deal with it. It's going to take time for this revolution to really sink in, especially since the government here, the president, Ibrahim Traoré, is now going after the youth. He's really going to militarize the youth and bring consciousness to them, which is a great thing. Well, I just wanted to talk to y'all, you know, just rant a little, and hope to do some more in a couple of hours when I really get up out of the bed. All right, signing out. Peace.
Alright, let's get into it. Since 2022, when Captain Ibrahim Traoré assumed power in Burkina Faso, the world has been watching. But now increasingly Americans are paying attention, some with shock, some with admiration, many with confusion. What is it about Traoré that has stirred US-based commentary? What are Americans saying about his moves, his historic, his break with Western influence, and what this means not just for Burkina Faso but for global power dynamics? Let's walk through it. Traoré came to power via a military coup in September 2022 in Burkina Faso, a country already reeling from security threats, insurgency, and frustration with previous governments. He styled himself in military fatigues, often a red beret, invoking the revolutionary legacy of Thomas Sankara, someone who for many symbolized Pan-African independence and anti-imperialism. Americans reading about this ask, is this just another military strongman or is this a leader signaling something deeper? An African country refusing Western dominance. Many US commentators say they are witnessing the latter. What constitutes this shock in many American views is how Traoré has engaged the West. He's expelled French troops, hinted at withdrawing or tightening mining permits for foreign companies, and demanded media independency from Western narratives. Take for example the mining sector. Traoré's comments about gold and foreign mining companies caused shares in one Australia firm to drop 25%. Americans see it as a direct challenge, not simply post-colonial historical posturing, but economic control. Another example, his government refused a US proposal to receive deportees, saying Burkina Faso is not a land of deportation. The US reacting by halting routine visa services, Americans see this as an affront to US diplomacy and influence. Thus, many Americans are including or concluding Traoré isn't just anti-France, he's anti-Western influence broadly, and that is unusual in an era where many African nations still maintain strong Western ties. There are US-based analysts and commentators who say they didn't expect an African leader so openly to confront Western powers, especially a younger leader from the Sahel region. The phrase they use, bold, reckless, game changer, some ask, could other African countries follow? The idea of dominion effect is on many minds, and some Americans, particularly those sympathetic to Pan-Africa or the colonial narratives, view Traoré with respect. They talk about him as a voice of the people, someone tried to reclaim sovereignty, asset control over resources, reject neo-colonial structures. For them, it's refreshing, a country saying, we are done being the junior partner. At the same time, American commentators don't overlook the dark side. They highlight concerns, suppression of press freedom, postponement of election, ongoing insecurity in Burkina Faso, accusation of human rights abuses. The admiration is not without caution. For example, while Traoré's image is charismatic, many Americans ask, is the authoritarianism in disguise? Some in the US see Traoré's shift toward Russia as a part of a larger global pattern, the decline of Western leverage in Africa and the rise of alternative powers. They ask, what will this mean for US interests in the Sahel, for global mining, for security partnership? The shock is that this pivot is happening so visibly and perhaps so fast. From a US perspective, the shock is two-folded. First, the expectationness of a seemingly marginal country in global terms taking such a bold stand. Second, the implications. If Burkina Faso approach works, what does this say about the global order? It raises questions about US strategy in Africa, about resources access, about influence, about security. Americans realize they are watching something that might signal change, the shifting of center of gravity away from traditional Western influence. For the US military, the US mining interests, the US diplomatic corps, this is not just a curiosity, it might be a warning. Another element Americans mention is the power of Traoré's image. He is young in leadership terms, charismatic, uses social media and imagery well, aligns himself with Pan-African values. He's been depicted by supporters as a digital messiah, a symbol of African self-association. US commentators point out that while image alone doesn't guarantee success, the narrative matters. If a leader can mobilize a sense of identity, of dignity, of sovereignty, that counts hugely in a continent long shaped by external influence. But Americans are also asking tough questions. Can Traoré deliver governance, security, and property? Burkina Faso still remains heavily beset by jihadist violence. His regime controls less than half of the territory. Does the charismatic image hide authoritarian realities? Critics worry about the dissolution of war independent institutions, example, the Electoral Commission, and the postponement of democratic transition. Is the anti-Western posture simply replacing one dependence with another? The group ties to Russia raise alarms in US commentary. Is this a pivot to Moscow rather than a true independence agency? What about human rights? US watchers highlight reports of massacres, forced conscription, suppression of press. They don't treat Traoré as uncritically heroic. For example, the regime's blocking of foreign media in response to report of massacre gets attention. For Americans, the Traoré moment is emblematic of slavery, of several larger shifts. The warning of Western dominance in Africa, the rise of alternative alliances, Russia, China, and alternative leadership models, the power of imagery and digital narrative in shaping politics globally, even from Burkina Faso. The paradox of African states that reject Western models while still facing profound internal challenges, security, economic development, governance. For the US, a need to reassess its African policy, adapt to a changing territory. Many Africans are watching. Many Americans are watching. Will theory deliver stable governance and security? If yes, this model might inspire others. Will the promised reforms, resources sovereignty, anti-corruption, economic self-reliance materialize? If yes, the concept of development may shift globally. Will there be backlash? Will Western powers push back through sanction, covert influence, or other means? America anticipates potential friction. Will this become a broader pattern in Africa, a series for countries rejecting Western influence and embracing new alignment? That possibility captures US attention. In conclusion, Americans are saying that Ibrahim Traoré's trajectory in Burkina Faso is a shock, but perhaps a harbinger. For some, he is a dangerous wild card. For others, a beacon of change. For US watchers, his stance challenges long-held assumption about how African states engage with the West's resources, security, and sovereignty. The commentary from America reflects this complexity: admiration, alarm, curiosity, critical, all coexisting, because at its heart, what theory represents to many Americans isn't just one country leader, it's a potential shift in global power, a rewriting of old rules, a disruption of the way things have been.
And if you have watched up to this extent, thank you so much for all the love and support. Don't forget to please leave me your own thought in the comment section of what you think of this video. And please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. Alright, lovely. See you when I upload the next video.